Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Monday edition of Moohead Radio. I'm your host, a big and furry bovine, and yes, you are, and I'm seeing red after the Browns' performance yesterday. And today we're going to be talking about it. David Talevsky is going to be, the first on the story that Watson's being sued again, which to me is meaningless. It doesn't matter. Again, anyone can sue anyone. If you read the story, if you believe any of it, then I could say, there could be a possibility. But if you believe it in its entirety, it makes no sense. The story makes no sense. And, it's, again, meaningless. And the reason it's meaningless is because if it is true, then the Browns can get out of a financial bind. And if it's not true, then it will just go nowhere like the last ones did legally. And then somebody will be trying to hit him up for money again through the other court. So in either event, it's probably for the best because there's no point in talking about Deshaun Watson ever again. There's no need. And this show won't do it. I will, and only in the realm of the football game will I talk about Deshaun Watson. And
there's plenty to cover there.
Well, that's right. But it may not be continuing for very long. So what are you going to do? You just kind of, if you're me, you do a program that's about football, not about accusation. And if you're me, you do an analytical program that talks about specifically what the team's doing and not doing. Hey, Keith, how you doing? Ron Leftman, good to see you. Who was calling the plays yesterday? I have no idea. No.
Well, unfortunately, Stefanski was.
Yeah, of course he was. Before we get into the meat of the program, James Earl Jones has passed away. He was 93 years of age. And I can't even go over
multiple sports movies, by the way. So check out some of those. He played, one of my favorites was the prize fighter that he played that actually Trump ended up, I think, pardoning, who died in prison in the 50s.
Oh, so, yeah, I wouldn't know about that.
Well, he was married to he was a black prize fighter, and he was married to a white woman, and supposedly he broke some crossing state lines with a white woman was an illegal act, and they got him on that. And he spent 30 years in prison wrongfully.
Oh, you see, well, Jack Johnson, it would be too early for that, Keith. Yeah, I mean, he was the champion in 1908 when he beat Stanley Ketchel. Like yeah, I don't know who. Okay, we'll get into it later. So I'm sorry about James Earl Jones. He was in so many different things. He was the EGOT guy. He everything, Emmy, Grammy. I mean, you name it. He won everything. He won every award there was, and the world is going to be less without him. But I always like to pay tribute to people when they, And
also, one of the funniest Big Bang episodes was. He gets it. They end up pranking Carrie Fisher, ringing her doorbell and then running away.
Oh, okay.
It's not funny anymore, James.
This is CNN. Yeah, I'm gonna miss him. What a voice. Great actor too. All right, let's get to the football game, shall we? Most people, and now all the people are going to say, well, just get rid of Watson and that's the end of it because that's what they want.
Yeah, but that's going to cost the team $90 million.
Yeah. So that's why I'm saying if he is found guilty of this in any way, and the Browns will get out of that, and if he's not, they won't.
Oh,
But most people,
speaking of Brown's legal issues, I was pleased to. I didn't get to say this before, but I was pleased that Mike Hall Jr. ended up on the commissioner exempt list.
oh,
So
sure, sure. I mean that's a situation where there's a lot of questions. But again, we digress. Here's the issue with Deshaun Watson and the Cleveland Browns. If you want him gone, fine, got no problem with it. Based upon what you have on the field, nobody's going to succeed. All right. I am not saying give up on Deshaun Watson. All right. That's the easy take. The harder take is the one I'm taking, which is give up on the Cleveland Browns. Now, let me explain what I mean. The only way the Cleveland Browns can become a viable football organization at this point is if they start over again. You cannot go down the road they've gone down and not end up where they are right now. And it's foolish to sit there and say, well, it's because of this player or that player. It has nothing to do with that. This is a badly run organization from top to bottom. It's poorly run.
and the Carolina Panthers just said, "Hold my beer."
Yeah, no. I mean, they're just poorly run.
Yes,
and it's it's the Panthers, it's the Commanders, it's all of it. Bad teams, the New York Jets, bad managed teams for bad managed teams. Now, here's the reason why I'm saying what I'm saying, and I'm going to get into specifics. When the Cleveland Browns were a young team and developing defense, and we were all saying, well, when are we going to get wide receivers? When are we going to, and we've been talking about Josh Gordon for over a decade. And it's like, when are we going to get somebody? And the answer is, well, we're going to trade. We're going to trade. We're going to get Amari Cooper. We're going to get Elijah Moore. We're going to get Jerry Jeudy. But nothing homegrown. What is homegrown in this organization that is offensive? Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb may not play again. You just don't know. And if he does, he may not be what he was. And he'd have every reason not to be. But the greatest example that I want to point out to is when you know that two of your offensive linemen, are on a wing and a prayer. Jack Conklin has been injured every year since he's come to Cleveland and before when he was with Jacksonville. There is no reason that the organization should have sat around during the offseason and during training camp, seeing the condition that not only Conklin was in, but that DeWand was in, and not only him. I mean, what are we supposed to do when people are chronically injured? And the answer is a good organization looks ahead and plans ahead. The Cleveland Browns crossed their fingers and hoped these guys would be ready to play. Based on his performance, DeWan Jones wasn't ready to play. Then the other side of the coin is that, God almighty, I'm so upset with the offensive line. Why am I blanking on the name of the other offensive lineman who should have healed long ago after an MCL repair?
Willis?
Yeah, Jedrick Wills. Jedrick Wills is like, they knew that he was hurt. They knew that Conklin was hurt. And they closed their eyes and they prayed and they wished. Oh, I hope they'll be back week 1.
Well,
and they
and here's
weren't.
the other problem with the offensive line is none of these this set of 5 guys hadn't played together as a unit in uh, any of the lead up to the preseason games or during any of the preseason games. So they have no idea how anybody moves. And you got Wyatt Teller and Batonio, and they can't trust the guys next to them.
Well, I mean, you're playing Ifedi, who's right off the practice squad. You're playing James Hudson, who has a career below 57 average rating for all the games that he's played. He's not any good, never will be any good. And he and DeJuan Jones peed their pants when they were staring at Micah Parsons. But again, to say that the players didn't perform, that's one thing. Why in God's name wouldn't the Cleveland Browns have put backup veteran guys who have played in the league if there was this real chance that neither of these two players was going to be ready for week 1? And the answer is they lied. They lied to themselves. They lied to the fans. They lied to the press. And they have, Mary Kay standing there saying, oh, they're going to rotate them. They're going to rotate them. They're going to go back and forth. Conklin's not going to play every down.
Yeah,
and Wills isn't going to play every down, but they'll manage to patchwork their way through. They're
going to put them on a bar stool and just spin them around. See, we're rotating them.
Yeah, that's bullshit. That's not, that's not the way to run an organization. If you feel that these guys are coming off knee surgery, one of them's not healing, and the other one has a history from the time that he was 26 years old of being hurt when he was with Jacksonville, what the fuck is the point? Why would you not bolster what resources you have? Why would you depend upon guys who are practice squad people? And why are the fans pointing at one player? It has nothing to do. There's lots of bad players on this team, folks. Elijah Moore is horrible. He can't catch a football. Can't get open. And what do we have on the part of Stefanski in his press conference? We got to do better. It's all on me. It's all on the coach. No, it's not. It's on the organization.
Sounds awful lot like Way, the revolutionary head coach, doesn't it?
Well,
we got to coach better. We got to do better. I got to be better. Everything needs to be better. And then it's never better.
Well, he's got a job and he's not going to say what I'm saying. The fact of the matter is that whoever's in charge of the personnel on this team, and it goes from, Andrew all the way down, they're drafting the wrong people. They are not on top of their roster to put the best available possible team on the field. And what they have out there isn't good enough to win. They're not going to win very many games this year. There is no point in criticizing the quarterback of the team because Jameis Winston will get smashed. Joe Flacco, your hero, because he's white, he would get crushed. These receivers are not open.
No, I disagree with the Flacco.
Of course you disagree with it.
You just like him because he's white. No.
Yes,
Watch the film. He actually
was white Jesus. Work. Please. He threw a fucking pick and multiple picks in every game he played in.
I get it. And then he still somehow managed to win those games and get them into the playoffs and throw for over 300 yards in like every goddamn contest. I understand the pick sixes. I get that part. But you saw what Stefanski had in his
and you
head
want to know
about
how I
that.
know you're blinded? You don't talk about the Texans game, do you? You never talk about
I
that.
did talk about the Texans game. I said the coaches never made any adjustments, and the Texans did, and they took away everything that they got burned
Mhm.
on. And then they did the same. And
So
I'll
no, it
blame
wasn't
the
Flacco's
defense
fault.
too.
He's white Jesus. It wasn't his fault. Okay,
Yeah,
fine. But
well,
what I'm telling you is,
he
it
can only
doesn't
run the
matter
plays
who you
that are
have.
called.
It doesn't matter who your quarterback is. In front of this, if you're behind this defense or offensive line, it doesn't matter.
No, they are very porous. You had to me, you had a collection of individuals playing against an actual football team.
And you want to know,
And and everybody is having to play themselves into shape when the bullets are live and the games actually count.
a game of 52 pickup. All right. The Cleveland Browns only had Joe Flacco because they had nowhere else to turn, because DTR is not a professional quarterback, and that will be proven sooner as opposed to later. Jameis Winston is a backup, but he's never succeeded as a starter. He throws as many interceptions as he does touchdowns. Now, so the Joe Flacco thing was just a wild guess. That's it. It was like, we have nowhere else to turn. We might as well go to a 40-year-old guy. That's all that was. There was no intelligence behind that selection, because it's a game of 52 pickup. Because if you're going to give them credit for Flacco, you have to give them credit for James Hudson. You got to give them credit for Anthony Schwartz. You got to give them credit for
They
David
screw
Bell.
up everywhere. They have screwed up drafts everywhere.
Give them credit for Elijah Moore. Give them credit. I mean, it's unbelievable. It's a poorly run organization. And there's no point. I mean, the only reason you have to go to a 40-year-old quarterback is because you don't have one. They're getting everybody crippled and injured because the offensive line has been injured for years now, and they've done nothing about it. So, at any rate, again, I'm digressing.
Well, and my team is in the exact same situation with, guys who barely would make a Division I college roster.
Well, here's my conclusion. For those of you who want rid of Deshaun Watson, it can't happen immediately, but there's no reason to play him or to not play him. There's no reason.
Well, and as I said, he's got to round himself into game shape, because he had no reps in the preseason. He had no reps prior to the preseason.
That's the decision of the organization. I mean, the bottom line is, every problem on this team is based upon the bad judgment of the organization. And that's true with Deshaun Watson, and it's true with the draft picks that they've gotten. It's true with the loss of Callahan, and now watching the Andy Dickinson blocking scheme in week 1. I'm everything could be traced back to incompetence.
Fucking policewoman.
Yeah. It's unfortunate. And the only way around this is, the only way completely around it would be if somebody who is mentally capable would buy the Cleveland Browns, but that's not going to happen because he's having too much fun and making too much money. So that can't happen. The only thing that can happen is to cut all of the chaff out and bring in new wheat. What I'm suggesting is that they lose every game this year or close to it. That's what I'm suggesting. I would tank it, because what was on the field was a tank. That's not a professional football team. I'm sorry. and the offensive scheme is not a professional scheme that they were running. How can you even watch a football game where there isn't a single pattern, with the exception of a drop pass by Amari Cooper in garbage time, where the receiver was running full stride for the ball? How could it be that they're all standing in the middle of the field when the ball is thrown and they just get the crap beaten out of them, stripped, or they just can't catch the ball? And when the original pattern breaks down, they just stand there. Nobody does anything. This has been going on for years. And me personally, I'm finished with it. This is not my team. This is not what I concerned myself with for 22 years. This is a bunch of people who own the team and who are enriching themselves at the expense of the product. They're not qualified in what they're doing. It's a bad business, folks. If you want to throw money into a bad business, it's your business then. And if you lose, you want to go to the stadium and boo like those people did, hey, if that's how you're getting your money's worth, that's cool. If you want to pay the $600 for NFL Sunday ticket, that's cool. But you're rewarding incompetence. That's what you're doing. The only way the Browns can have a chance to rebuild is to get it over quick. This is a slow bleed, and it's the kind of slow bleed that gets you nowhere. You got to try to make a quick turnaround.
Watch the Panthers. That's your future.
That's right.
My football team is your future.
Yeah.
If you keep going the way that you're going. And I have David Tepper is just as inept as Jimmy, Pimp Daddy Jimmy, and Big Mama D Haslam.
You know, Keith, what dire consequences? How will it affect you? Dire consequences. We talk in these terms. I'll tell you what a dire consequence is. If somebody passes away, dire consequence. You know, if you get fired and you have no income and the bills keep coming in, that's a dire consequence. But this is sports. This is a poorly run organization. What do you care if they take a massive cap hit the next 2 years? What does it matter? They suck now. They never went anywhere before. They have sucked for decades now. What possible dire consequences can compare since they came back into the league in 2000? What?
I said that this contract was going to be a stranglehold on the team. Oh, no, they'll be creative. They know how to manipulate it. Plus, the salary cap is going up. Well, what the fuck has happened?
You know, you want to start history with the acquisition of Deshaun Watson, but they were incompetent long before that. They made quarterback decisions that were just as bad. But you just keep following. Well, you don't, but people in the chat room keep on paying to see the letdown. So Deshaun Watson will be in a long line of Johnny Manziel's. Huh?
I moved on to an even bigger septic tank.
Yeah. I mean, don't do the crime if you can't do the time. And that's what it amounts to. I really wish that the Cleveland Browns were better than they are. I wish they were a better run organization. But the only way that they have a chance, they took a chance, and the chance failed. Deshaun Watson is not the player he used to be. I'm not blind. I don't care whether he, came on to a woman or whether the woman's making it up. I don't care about that. All I care about is the business decision of what they chose to do, and it was a failure. Okay? Deshaun Watson isn't what he used to be, and he never will be again.
Yeah.
But before he gets out of Cleveland, he's going to wind up getting hurt again.
And this is what I had said in the preseason was, this could be the beginning of his Cam Newton like downward spiral.
Everybody at that position eventually gets beat up so bad that they hang on and hang on and hang on. It's just like RG3
I mean,
did.
well, do you remember Joe Montana's elbow after Leonard Marshall fucking destroyed it? He had that big, nasty softball-sized sack that was hanging from it, trying to throw passes for the Kansas City Chiefs. That was fucking disgusting.
Keith, they have painted themselves into a corner. Absolutely. Because people who are not good at business never think about the future. They only think about now. And if you're thinking about now, you can never successfully diet and lose weight. You cannot run a business. You cannot run a sports franchise. You can't run a country if everything's now. This is the problem with the Cleveland Browns. The most balanced organizations are the ones who draft wisely and then move on from players who have reached a point where they're not as effective as they were, but still have some value in the market. But we have a bad general manager. He's good at cap space kinds of figurings, but as far as talent, evaluation, no, we're not good at that. So this is what happens. So they took a shot, like they took a wild shot on Johnny Manziel. They've taken so many wild shots on people. So now it was Deshaun Watson. And we knew when it happened. We knew that there was a chance that it was going to fail. We knew that.
Yeah, and I got called racist for pointing that out.
No, well, but there were other reasons you were called racist, but we won't go there. That's all behind us. Draft, develop, retain. That's right. I mean, this is not difficult if you know what you're doing, but if you don't know what you're doing, it's real hard. All right. And so it starts with Deshaun Watson because he's the biggest $230 million bust. All right. But it goes much deeper than that. So we put Amari Cooper on the field, and Amari Cooper publicly said he wanted to go to the 49ers. And when given an opportunity to say, what did you mean by that? He said, just what I wrote. You don't want to be in Cleveland. And because he's butthurt over the Brandon Ayuk thing, which is just the kind of stupid thing that the Browns would do, because the 49ers kept Ayuk and he didn't play that many snaps. He's not very good. He's good in the sense that if you have a lot of other weapons around him, but by himself, I mean, you saw CeeDee Lamb. That's good. That's good. We're going to bring David Talevsky in here. Hey, you there, David? David.
Hey, I'm here.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's let's see what Keith is responding. How is Watson considered the missing piece when he barely has one playoff win? And again, because he was talented, he had arm talent, he was mobile, and he was playing for a team that wasn't particularly good and putting up impressive numbers. That's why. And you know that. I don't have to explain that. You know that.
The question is, when you're talking about
go ahead,
when you're talking about a rebuild, like how deep are you going in terms of rebuilding it?
Oh, when I'm saying start over.
You got to go all the way down to the studs.
That's right. Start over. That's right. Because you've got so many people who are old, flat out old. Amari Cooper should have been traded. He should have been. He could have had another year or two maybe to help a team with a good offensive scheme and one that had been playing in a scheme for a long time. But to bring him back just so they could put in some hokey new system, allegedly, which I still don't see, the difference between what I'm seeing this year than the years past. I don't see it.
Because
Where
you got
was?
the same asshole calling the fucking plays.
Yeah,
So
I
he's
mean,
going to call all of the plays that look exactly like his playbook or what he wants to see on the field.
yeah. You know, Amsterdam.
say this.
You're not going to go there. You know, you are trumping, okay, and trumping, and you claim to be not like that, but you're just like the sheep in the rest of the country. You want to make these comments that just aren't true. The fact of the matter is, Watson was considered the greatest quarterback when he came out of Clemson and was going to be branded a star, and he had big yardage thrown. And you want to say that it never happened? Go ahead. You just drink a bottle of codeine and go to sleep. Okay?
Well, he did only manage 9 points in the head-to-head with Baker Mayfield at the stadium. Lost 10 to
Baker
9.
Mayfield.
Who has
that's
2
not an
playoff
answer.
wins, by
Well,
the way.
go ahead. Go get him back and put him behind this. Go ahead and do that. You know, he already got hurt and maimed and mangled in Cleveland. I mean, what?
Yeah.
Why do we have short memories?
Here's the thing I have to say.
Yes.
You expect him to bring competent people in here?
David, your signal is breaking up.
Yeah,
Can you hear me now?
like the first half.
Yeah, I hear you now. Say what you got to say while you got a signal.
I was gonna say Haslam can't fucking rebuild a McDonald's. Expected to bring competent people in here?
If you own the team, that's what your business is. I mean, when I went into Flint, Michigan, and I bought an FM radio station in Flint, Michigan, did I sit there and go, how am I going to build this up when General Motors is going out of business here? I mean, the fact of the matter is, you either know what the fuck you're doing or you don't. This is not complex. He shouldn't be in the business.
Uh-oh. No,
What?
you were the one cutting out.
Oh, was I?
Yeah.
Oh.
But even if you're an incompetent asshole, there are competent people that you can bring in to help you accomplish whatever you need to accomplish. Like, even if you're the owner of the radio station, you can still go out and hire a decent general manager that has a track record of success to come in and help you turn whatever format around.
Well, what I can tell you is this. The Phil Donahue show, the late Phil Donahue, came to Flint, Michigan and said it was the worst city in America. All right. They said nobody wanted to be in Flint. The inner city was dangerous. The crime rate was high. The unemployment was way high. They were shutting down the Fisher body plant. General Motors was shipping off jobs to Lordstown because they were shutting down everything in Flint. Or they were going to our new enemy, Mexico, right? People forget that too because they're just totally myopic. They only see what's in front of them right now, and they don't have a historical premise. But yes, we gave all of the manufacturing jobs to Mexico. All right. And now, you know, they was like they were the heroes to the people at General Motors, right? The Mexicans. And now, what do we think about the Mexicans? It's, you know, you got to take a look at a big picture. So when I went into Flint, it's like such low expectations. I wasn't in the steel business. I wasn't in the automotive business. I wasn't into anything that was connected to the automotive business. It affected a lot of people. I knew a lot of union people, and it affected them big time. And it was a tough environment for them. But all I did was I owned a fucking FM radio station that was underperforming, and there was $12 million of advertising revenue in Flint, Michigan. And I was going to get my piece of it. So what they said was, oh, you can't do business. You know, if you watch TV, you know, you go to Flint, you're committing suicide. I had people tell me that. But no, that's not the way it went. Because if you know what you're doing, then you know what you're doing. Was that David talking?
I don't know.
Sorry, that was my brother in the background. It's all good. We're really quiet. You won't hear him.
So, it's just that Haslam takes these high-flying chances because he doesn't know what to do, and he refuses to have a voice in his ear that speaks rational sense. You see, Jimmy Haslam ripped people off in the trucking business. All right.
Yeah.
He don't know nothing about professional sports. He just has a lot of money. And he got into the boys club, and then he got into ownership. And that next thing you know, there he is. And he's the owner of the Cleveland Browns. But he knows nothing about what he's doing. And he's dumb enough to think that he does. And he overrules people, and he loses people who work for him because he insists on taking these goofy chances, and you can't shut him down. That's the problem with the Cleveland Browns. It's being run by a guy who doesn't know how to really run a business. He got all of his money from his dad, and and it's the same story. I mean, if you were handed $100 million in 1972, all right, and I'm going to make this a basic economic lesson. It was funny. A friend of mine and I were talking about NCAA football and how upsets can happen every now and then. And we got to talking about St. Francis of Pennsylvania. And St. Francis of Pennsylvania won a football game that they had no business against Kent State. Kent State lost to St. Francis of Pennsylvania that has 2,300 students. All right? Seriously. I mean, ridiculous. We got to talking about Furman University, which was very close to where I lived at one time in South Carolina. And Furman, it was 3,500 students. But they have an endowment, and you're not going to believe this, an endowment of $800 million. And you got to ask yourself, how is that possible, Mr. Moohead? How can Furman University have that kind of an endowment? And the answer is, in 1912, a man named John Duke, who owned tobacco companies in the South, gave them an endowment that was in perpetuity. And that investment from 1912 to the present, what started out as a $4 million endowment, is now $800 million. If somebody handed you $100 million, you can't lose. I don't want to hear that Donald Trump is a brilliant businessman. His father gave him $100 million. If they gave me $100 million, God only knows how much fucking money I'd have right now.
He didn't get $100 million in 1972.
You can't lose.
He got $1 million in 1972.
Yeah. That's the story
If
he
I
told.
had $1 million.
Yeah. The fact of the matter is that if you know what you're doing, you'll make more and more and more and more. If you don't know what you're doing, fucking autistic Randy Lerner, for Christ's sake, would be a great example. Randy Lerner had so much money, he bought himself a soccer team and ran that into the ground too. If you don't know what you're doing, you don't know what you're doing. But you still can't go broke. Jimmy Haslam's never going to go broke. You're never going to get rid of him. And nobody can stop him from making the bad decisions that he's making. So from top to bottom, the team rots because of wild chances that he takes. I'll say this, not because of Deshaun Watson, but other circumstances got us into the playoffs a couple times. It's as good as it's ever going to get. You're going to be waiting. Everybody kept saying Super Bowl's never going to happen in my lifetime. As long as Jimmy Haslam's there, it's not going to happen in your lifetime either. It's just not meant to be because he's just not good at what he does. So the organization.
Go ahead. It's like expecting the Dolans to get you a World Series.
You know, and the funny thing is that the Dolans are having a nice season this year. And, that's wonderful. I have no problem with that. But I'm not investing myself emotionally into it. And that's what I'm saying about the Browns. And I can say that the smartest thing to do as a businessman is to tear it down. Because this group of players are hurt. They're injured. They can't be depended or relied upon from week to week. And we're forced to play practice squad players. And it's never going to work.
And for those that are relatively new to the program, that means going back to the 1-31, where that's exactly what happened. And they garnered, what was it, 13 or 14 draft picks for the 1 year?
Except they didn't get rid of Hugh Jackson. That's the difference.
Yeah.
You got to get rid of whatever the bad influences are. And I'm saying Jimmy Haslam, but we can't get rid of him. Go ahead, David.
Now, can I ask this? Who would you keep?
The defense is what is still young, and you have players who are like, Koromoa, and you have players. Well, I mean, I would say Denzel Ward, except that he's dinged up a bit. You've got a secondary that you could build upon. You've got Myles Garrett that you can build upon. You never got help on the other side for him, and you've filled up the line with a bunch of Tomlinsons and a bunch of Maurice Hurst is already hurt again. What you do is anything you can do to get draft picks and fire whoever the talent evaluators are. But
that would be Paul DePodesta.
But right, you obviously have to get rid of people who have underperformed. The owner is not going to leave.
Well, the other problem is you have Jim Schwartz, who's like Greg Williams, in that the opposition knows exactly what's coming, and they can scheme around that. They can audible into
Dallas sure did
correct plays, and they can embarrass the hell out of you. And until you got to get rid of him. Now, somebody said, well, at least they picked up Mike Vrabel. Well, yeah, I don't know. There's too much. The linebacking core really hasn't been that good.
That's DePodesta's fault. He doesn't care for them.
Yeah.
And then they pick up defensive coordinators that, well, I run a 4-2-5. Well, great.
Yeah,
that's why you get burned by tight ends all over the field.
It's funny. I'll just comment as things move on here. Numbers never lie, but they can mislead. Well, give me the empty numbers quarterback. Give me the guy who throws for 4,000 to 5,000 yards a year. Give me him, because I'll tell you what the numbers don't lie about is how many wins and losses this organization has had since it came back in 2000. That's the bottom line. And when the one owner died and his incompetent son took over, then it really went down the shitter. So that's what I can tell you. Give me the guy who throws for $4,000 to $5,000 a year, or 4,000 to 5,000 yards a year, please. I'll take it every time. And, as far as Stefanski and route running, I don't see these guys playing hard. And you could tell how pumped the Cowboys were and how lackadaisical the Browns were. For a home opener, how could you not be up for the game? But they weren't.
They were too busy partying in the Muni lot with the fans.
So,
and as I said at the beginning, it was the team versus the collection of individuals.
Absolutely. And let me see here. All right. Thank you. I'm just doing some
Yeah, but see,
adjusting.
Keith, Watson being mobile yesterday and running for his life, that's how he, ends up in retirement, early retirement.
It's going to happen anyway. It's all written on the wall. It's already done. He's already a shell of himself. I mean, you got to stop talking about him because there's all these other guys, 52 other men who are part of this team, and we don't have good players. And the ones who were good players are old and hurt. That's all. You got to replenish. And the only way you can replenish is to cleanse. You got to get rid of what you got and try to get what you can for it. And then you have to be competent at choosing the right people. I know that this is not what fans want to hear. Fans want smoke blown up their asses. I got no smoke for you. All I had to do was watch one game. And it's
all you have is smoke on the water.
Yeah. If you can't come out in week 1 with more enthusiasm than
Without
that,
Frank Zappa.
Yeah, I mean, I just I
Maybe
don't.
maybe they should resurrect Frank Zappa just so they can burn the stadium down.
Yeah, and if you don't believe in bad decision making, I mean, or narrow decision making, playing a football game in Brazil, the field was a mess. They might as well have found some kind of, with a bunch of fucking matadors and bulls running over it.
Not to mention the players felt unsafe being down there.
I mean, the whole thing is just one big money mill. And
what's funny is the NFL told that both teams that they had to restrict the players to their hotels until the day of the game, and they let all of the fans for both sides go anywhere in the fucking city. And they played in Sao Paulo. That's like the kidnap capital of Brazil.
Yeah, I mean, it's I look at what has happened to football. It's just a big money thing, and it's already established who the good teams are and who the bad teams are. And Cleveland's a bad team. They're going to be worse than anyone thought they would be, and they should be. If they're going to try to build for the future, they should do everything they can to dismantle this thing. It was a mistake keeping Amari Cooper. A huge mistake. Just like they held on to Jarvis Landry for too long. Huge mistakes. These people get old and they get brittle. It's a brutal game. And the league is sanctioning that brutality by making them play on dangerous fields, by putting phony protective helmets on their heads and telling them, oh, you can hit as hard as you want to hit now because you won't get concussions because you're cushioned.
Well, and they play in a division with the two roughest teams in the NFL, with the Ravens and the Steelers, who like to late hit, who like to, really over tackle people. And, that's how everybody ends up in the fucking IR for 7 or 8 games.
Hi, Bronk. And what I'll tell you is this. If you were a gladiator, you can't complain about the injuries.
No, you're going to get the odd lion bite and shit, aren't you?
Well,
when you're playing football, the reality is not only is it inherently an unsafe game and it's getting more unsafe by the minute, but they're going to sell anything they can try to sell, like the tobacco companies did, telling you that,
Correct.
oh, no,
That's
that
exactly
doesn't
what it
cause
is.
lung cancer. It does. Cigarettes killed people.
Yeah.
And that's just the bottom line truth. But they're going to say whatever they need to say to protect their investment. That's what they do. So if that means going to Sao Paulo, Brazil, and putting people
Ugh.
on a bad track and watching their legs go out from under them constantly and the turf flying and people twisting ankles and being carried off the field, hey, they're gladiators. They're getting paid. We're paying these people. But, I want to see every NFL owner with brain damage. That's what I want to see, because you know something? I owned a business.
Well,
and
you
nobody
got
got brain damage. Nobody fucking died because of the way I ran my business. And God damn it, that's the thing that pisses me off the most and why I don't care about this.
Wow.
You've got an owner with brain damage in Jerry Jones.
You got several of them. But quick question. I'm sorry I'm late. I just want to know what sort of crippling injuries did we have, because I was asleep.
Oh, well, David
basketball.
Njoku has a high ankle sprain, and he's going to be
he's
gone
dead.
in a matter of, for weeks.
Till
And
November, probably.
and of course, it's the same thing that we saw with Nakua, who was taken off the field with the Rams.
Yeah.
They're saying week to week. Well, it's 4 to 6 weeks. It's 4 to 6 weeks for an ankle sprain. All right. A high ankle sprain can be 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah. November.
He's gone for half the season. I'm telling you that David Njoku, if he in fact does have, and a reporter did ask Stefanski, it's being reported it was a high ankle sprain. He goes, yeah, well, we're I'm not going to talk about the specifics of the injury. It's like you just said, yeah. You just said, yeah, Ivy Leaguer. Wow. But that's what it is. And a bunch of Browns players twisted their ankles, and they're going to be gone for weeks. And Hurst. He's hurt. 90. And and they just keep saying week to week, and what does it matter? They'll bring them back too soon. They get hurt, and they end up crippled.
Diabate has a hip flexor.
Who is
Diabate? Diabate's got a hip flexor.
Yeah. They said it's a hip problem there. Yep.
Wow.
Of course you want them to rebound on the fly, but they can't because of the position the owner put them in. Listen to what I'm saying. If you put all your money into one thing and you back yourself and paint yourselves into a corner, the only way to get out of it is to reconstruct from the ground up. He's left no wiggle room. That's the point.
I don't know if Big Lurker is in the chat or not, but Big Lurker and I would probably agree on this. If this was England, Brian, and this Cleveland team played in England, there would be protests outside the ground saying Haslam's out. Haslam's out. There'd be people boycotting the team, and the ownership would possibly be gone. I mean, Man United really got rid of the Glazers.
You didn't see the news report last night. People in West 6th Street in Cleveland were just trashing the street, throwing garbage everywhere. They were all just pissed off.
I didn't know that, but yeah, I mean, this would be the finger's got to be pointed at the owner. Absolutely.
By the way, Bronk, I don't know if you can see, but I put up the Banana Man just for you.
Why? I don't even know who the Banana Man is. So.
Oh, that was one of the cartoons that was in line with Danger Mouse and.
Oh right. Oh yeah. Okay, Danger Mouse. Siciliani. Okay, I get it now.
MS1's.
Sorry, I'm only just waking up. So.
Yeah. MS1's asking who's more predictable, Stefanski or Schwartz, and the answer is
they both are.
If you have an offensive line that is completely crippled and you've got guys who don't belong in the league playing up there, then you're not going to have a downfield passing game because there isn't going to be enough time for the quarterback to throw.
And if you or a running game.
And if you try a downfield passing game, the quarterback's going to get sacked. You're going to have second and longs and third and longs. And that same offensive line can't run block. So you can't run and you eat up the clock either. What we said before the game was, if the Browns can't run the ball, they're going to get beat. All right. Correct. That the only way that the Browns could win, I'm just repeating what I said before the game happened. The only way the Browns could win is if they would run the football, play the clock, and run it down to limit the number of offensive exposures that the Cowboys would have, and play a close game. That was the only way. Instead, it was Pittsburgh who did that, like they always do, because no matter how much you hate those gladiators, they know the fucking game they're playing.
Yeah.
And they don't care, and they have no fucking conscience.
And they scored one more point than we did yesterday.
Yep.
And we outscored the Bengals.
And Justin Fields gets a win, and he looked horrific.
It was terrible.
So, again, but they found a way to win on the road. So, again, who's more predictable, Stefanski or Schwartz? Look, what they have out there, Schwartz is known as being an overly aggressive defensive coordinator. Stefanski is a conservative, detail-oriented coach.
But he has these fits of gambleness and going for 4th down and 4 at the triple reverse.
Yeah, so he does the players that Stefanski has to work with from an offensive perspective. It doesn't matter. It's never going to work. These players are never going to win, and they're going to be out of the league. And then who knows? With the way we draft people, we're gonna go back to 2-15. That's what this team is going to do anyway. I'm just saying, you might as well start the process early and try to get as many draft picks as you can. Everybody was crying, "Oh, we don't have any draft picks because of Deshaun Watson." No, it's because of Jimmy Haslam that we don't have any draft picks.
Owner. Yeah, let's
hello.
Let's go to the source.
Yeah, and the other side of the coin is now that is lifted, I'll take advantage of it and let these players play on a team that has a chance to win. It was great to see Mitchell Schwartz. Getting a lot of praise in Kansas City, a really good football player who was a really good player in Cleveland, but never had anything to show for it. Let these guys stand in the sun for a little while because they've been in the shade for too long.
You know what that reminded me of? They also honored in their previous Super Bowls when they did the pregame of that. They also honored Chad Henne for his work during the divisional playoff game that year. They honored Chad.
No, it wasn't for that one.
It was.
Well,
no, it's for the one against the Jaguars in 2022.
Wow.
Yeah.
Chad Henne.
Well, obviously, Jared Mayo got a big win, and I don't know what happened. The Bengals just didn't show up.
Bengals look about as bad as we are.
I mean,
well, that's why that's why I figured they would end up in 4th place in the division.
Well, the AFC North is totally overrated. I mean, by a big way. We're not a good division. This idea that we are the best division in football is a load of bullshit. Anyway, is there any comment from Peter Alice today?
No. I'm still.
He was in hell and you couldn't watch it.
No. I'm sitting here, Jason Arrington. Don't let 53 millionaires ruin your day. Isn't that the truth? I mean, I can honestly tell you, and this is the honest truth. When I would watch the Browns play, I have a little blood pressure monitor, I don't have a blood pressure problem. No, I don't have a blood pressure problem. However, I would watch the games and my blood pressure would go up. And I'd be texting in the, and Twitter, and I'd be, beside myself. And I was taking my blood pressure while they were getting the shit kicked out of them yesterday.
Probably 100 over 80.
No, I was at 120 over 72 with a pulse rate of 66.
65, yeah.
Yeah. and so it's like, I don't care. Because my caring isn't going to change the incompetence because the incompetent person is getting richer. Okay.
Yeah.
It's why I don't worry about Donald Trump and I don't worry about his wife and his children. I don't care because they're set for life. These people don't have problems. Joe Biden, I mean, the only thing that's happened when Joe Biden finally got the big boot was that his son now is running for help because he knows he's not protected anymore. So that's the bottom line in all this, is that a bunch of entitled, wealthy people who will do anything. They will sell Bibles with their name on it. They will sell trading cards with their images on it, like Trump is doing, or God only knows. God only knows the whoring speeches that Bill Clinton and his wife gave, the think tanks that paid
and Tony
millions
Blair
of
and
dollars.
a whole lot.
I don't worry about those people because they're sad.
Speaking of Tony, the Browns just signed Kadarius Toney to the practice squad.
Kadarius, wow.
Say again?
Kadarius Toney. They just signed.
Oh, yeah. Well, what was the story with him?
Yeah, good point.
Kadarius, was a 49er, right?
No, he was originally drafted. He was drafted by the Giants, and then he was in Kansas City.
Oh, he was a Chief. That's right. Okay. So, but there's a story as to why he's available.
Yeah, he did something. I don't know.
So they've signed him to the practice squad.
Yeah.
Well, maybe that will save me from seeing David Bell coming up again.
Oh, this is why he went to the University of Florida. So, oh boy. Fasten your seatbelts, kids.
Oh, I think he might. Yeah. Yeah. Who knows?
Another malcontent inbound.
Yeah. Nobody. The reason I timed you out was because we're not going with Deshaun Watson on this program. It's all part of a much bigger story, and that's that. So yeah, the whole thing is a money mill. There's no question. And we're all feeding it in one way or another, I suppose. But I think for my personal health.
If that guy's nobody, who's somebody?
Yeah. I'm not going to get overly emotional about it because, that's the first time in my life I was able to watch the Browns getting slaughtered in a season opener and not be upset about it. And there's something to be said. And, I've been having some sleep disruption lately. I slept like a baby last night. There's no reason to get excited. I have suggestions, but it's not my shot to call. My days of being a businessman are over. And that's right, Ron. It starts basically, and
when you don't want
a downfield passing game. You don't want that. You may think you want that, but you don't have the pieces for that. You have to try to figure out a way to eke out as many first downs to do what the Steelers do. You throw short passes to your running backs. You do whatever you can to get 4 or 5 yards a shot, and you can go for it on 4th and 1 and hold on to the ball and run the clock down. So because you can't fall behind like the Browns did in this game and ever come back. You just can't, because you saw what happened. They have to throw the ball every time. And what I said is, if Deshaun Watson has to throw the ball 48 times, how many times did he throw the ball? Somebody look that up for me.
Probably close to
45 times.
45 times. I said, if he had to throw the ball that much, there's no way the team's going to win. And you can't play from behind. That's just what it is. And that's a sign of a team that's not going to win a whole lot of games. But you got to do what you got to do. This is Watson has to prove that he can run the offense that's given to him, that he has the mental aptitude to run something. And when they're sitting on the sideline with the pad, the iPad next to him, right?
Yeah, and he has eyes glazed over when they're doing it.
And he's looking. Not even looking at the screen. He's all over the place. Then after the game, and somebody has to clue me into this, that there was something that was personal. Is that when Watson found out? Was he told before the football game that he was being sued again?
No, it was his father passed, and also one of his former teammates did.
Okay, because they said that he was not in a good frame of mind at all.
Yeah.
Well, then you don't start him.
James, trying to jam a square peg into a round hole. Right now,
more like a triangle into the square.
Watson is the starting quarterback for now. He has to prove that he has the aptitude to run the offense that's given to him. Now, what I will say is this. If you want to know bad, just watch Kirk Cousins from week 1 yesterday.
Oh, wow.
Horrible. Wow. So, again.
What's Daniel Jones?
Daniel Jones, yeah.
Was a man, was a big. Oh.
That was Daniel Boone, I believe.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Davy Crockett.
Yeah, and thanks, Just Bless him. Yeah, I don't know what kind of career has Kadarius Toney had, because we keep getting these people off the scrap heap.
Oh, well, why don't we just?
He's had drops issues.
Yeah, drops issue.
So he can line up side by side with Elijah Moore.
Yeah.
They can take
or replace Elijah Moore.
Yeah, they have drops.
They can just trade jerseys. Don't put a name on the back. Just make them swap numbers. Nobody will know the fucking difference.
And Keith,
Tony's a bit taller, to be fair.
Yeah, and what?
That's
Keith
a good idea, Keith.
That's right.
That is a good idea.
That is the only way you're going to get out from under this. Is you got to, the people of value, you got to really pull what the Texans did to us.
Correct.
That's what you got to do, because there's always somebody close enough that they feel that that'll make the difference. And so
you can fuck them over at the trade deadline.
Yeah, you squeeze them, Yeah,
if we trade Garrett to the fucking Cowboys or some idiot team, we could get about 3-4 draft picks. Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
And Ford doesn't have a better idea. Okay,
no,
he's not a good running back. He's hesitant.
Maybe they should change his name to Edsel.
Hey, my granddad had an Edsel. That was a great car. It had push button transmission on it.
Change his name to Hugo.
Trabant.
I think the Etch-a-Sketch is in Watson's head, because when he went out in the field, he looked like all of the playbook was erased. All right.
Yeah.
That's what it looked like to me. Somebody shook him.
They shook him and it all went away.
As Topaz would say, yup, that's true. Yup.
How is Topaz?
Well, maybe it's got an 8-ball in there or something.
Yeah. Yes, the old 8-ball. So,
at any rate, I mean, there was a whole lot more stories, but so that the Guardians finally got rid of Barlow after he was giving up a run every inning or more at every inning that he pitched for the last month and a half. So the Guardians don't have much depth either, but they've managed to stay close and stay ahead for now. But it's another team very thin on talent, and that doesn't win when teams are spending $350 million payrolls, and you're being outspent by 33%.
The good news is,
or 300%. I'm sorry. Yeah.
The good news is they play the White Sox, so they can at least get on a winning streak until the next.
No. Joey Cantillo is pitching, and he's going to lose again. Joey Cantillo has 5-run earned run average in the minor leagues. They're going to lose to the White Sox. You listen to what I'm saying. That guy, he got nothing. He got nothing in his arsenal
right now and bet on the White Sox. Oh God.
Well, the problem is they struggle with the White Sox anyway.
That sounds like a background character from fucking Happy Days.
Yeah.
God.
Make it stop, Moo. Moo, can you make it stop?
I really can't. Stop. It just keeps on going on and on. To me, it's
a defective Energizer bunny.
Why do they keep bringing Anthony Gose up to then sending him back down immediately? Are they
I
doing
don't
that just to fuck with this guy? The guy's like 35 years old and he's never going to play Major League Baseball. Why do they keep bringing him up and then sending him right back down? And he doesn't even get into a game. What is the point?
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, don't they have to move another player when they do that?
I think it's
So
September.
it might be more about the other player.
I think they can have as many people as they want in September, or might as well have. So, any word for anybody hanging over the I-480 bridge today? You know, any good news to keep them from jumping?
Separate yourself and your life. I mean, you've got a family, you've got your loved
Cats.
ones, you've got your friends,
Well,
you've got
now,
your pets, you've got your
with Brunk
wives
and
and
Big Lurker
husbands.
being in England, it maybe the equivalency would be separate your head from your shoulders.
Wow.
Henry VIII style.
Wow.
Oh, wait a minute.
That's harsh.
You don't say, Rob Yar. Really? Yeah, of course. Yeah. Yeah. You can sue the Pope for bastardly. What the hell difference does it make? So at any rate, you could watch the football game tonight. You can see Aaron Rodgers go out there and have some fun.
Get hurt again, first game of the year.
Yeah.
Now he gets to tear the other Achilles.
You know what the scary part is?
What?
What he wanted, he got.
He did.
Jeopardy. And he's in it tonight, baby.
Too bad Greg Kent's dead.
Oh, my Lord.
Speaking of which, Wheel of Fortune with Ryan Seacrest premieres tonight.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's something to look forward to. We don't get that here.
I'm
Unless you go look
closing
for
all
it.
of my windows, and Bronk wanted Peter Alice.
Peter Alice, yeah. Just pick a random Peter Alice thing from any game. Just a mood.
No, I mean, it would be yesterday's game, and it would be, let me tell you about the excitement level lacking on the Cleveland sideline from the beginning of the game. It was less excited than my menopausal wife. Frosty cold. Yeah, I never have I seen such a non-spirited, lackadaisical performance in week one of a season. It's just crazy.
Again, the Carolina Panthers said, "Hold my beer."
Well, the Browns were epically underachieving yesterday. You know, we've seen bad games before.
New York Giants were worse.
To be honest, that's exactly what I expected out of them, because like I said, none of them had played together at all in the preseason.
Well, that's what the second half of yesterday's game was. It looked like a preseason game, the second half. You know, it looked like they were finally getting to know each other. You know, that's why they managed one drive with about 5 first downs. So, yeah, that was a preseason game in the second half.
And you're going to get that for at least the next 2 or 3 weeks while they play themselves into shape.
And I'm going to leave the program so that you all, everybody who watches this, can think about this. Okay.
Well, I'm thinking.
Why would somebody who was sexually assaulted in 2020, when all the publicity was out there about what Deshaun Watson had done, why would they wait until the very beginning of this season to actually file a lawsuit when it was a 3-year, anywhere in the United States, 3 years and it goes away, but Texas is 5? Who's keeping this alive and for what reason? There are vengeful people out there, and just think about it. If this was so fucking traumatic, why didn't they pursue justice after it happened, or a year later, or 2 years later, when it was the biggest story in sports? Why now? And then I'm leaving. All right. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in to this edition of Moohead Radio. We will be back again Friday, and we'll be talking about the next game and how Jacksonville is going to just kick the shit out of us in Florida. But until then, thanks to the people on the panel. I appreciate David and Brian and Bronk and all the people in the chat room. Thank you for supporting the program. And go easy on yourselves, you know. And any way you can, you know, if you can kind of sneak by and not pay the NFL, go for it.
That's why I like NFLBite.com.
Yeah, there you go.
Pirate your fucking NFL games, folks.
So everybody have a good night, and I'll see you on Friday. Bye-bye.
All right. See you later.